Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. This is the topic for today's webinar is rapidly convert your legacy Flash courses to HTML5. This webinar is brought to you by Harbinger Interactive Learning. My name is Rahul, and I would be your host for today. Before we get started with the topic and we take a deep dive, let's take a moment and understand what are the key takeaways from this webinar. Role of automation. So we'll understand what's the role of automation when it comes down to extracting content from legacy courses wherein the source files are not available, and other aspects of automation in the development process. Flexibility. Is there a flexible solution which offers different type of conversion services ranging from as-is conversion to total design overhaul? Future-proofing. How to ensure a future-proof conversion of legacy courses? And last but not the least, rapid and cost-effective. Is it possible to get legacy courses converted rapidly and cost-effectively with limited involvement of internal teams if you do not have the relevant bandwidth available? We want this to be an interactive session, so during at any point of time of this webinar, if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, please feel free to type it into the chat box. I, along with my colleague Isha, will be moderating the chat and taking up the questions and answers. And of course, towards the end of the webinar, we'll have a separate discussion session wherein we'll take the questions. Okay, so now let me tell you a little bit about Harbinger Interactive Learning. Harbinger Interactive Learning is a global design and development company specializing in custom learning solutions. We have been in the business for more than 3 decades now. And one of the established practices that we have at Harbinger is modernization. And this is where we help our customers migrate their legacy Flash-based courses into HTML5. Now it's time for us to welcome our guest speaker for the day. So we have Deepti from Harbinger Interactive Learning. Hi, Deepti. How are you doing today?
Hey, Rahul. I'm good, thanks. It's my pleasure to be here today with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for taking out the time for this webinar. So Deepti, we have been working together for quite some time, so we know each other well. But the audience would probably like to know you a little better. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Rahul, thanks. Hi, everybody. I am Deepti Jana. I'm part of Harbinger Interactive Learning and passionate about making difference to workforce across industries. And at Harbinger, we do this by harnessing technology. We help organizations transition smoothly to new generation learning, both at the front end as well as the back end. And when I'm not doing that, you could find me in a remote corner of my home with a book in my hand. So that's who I am.
Right, wonderful. And thank you once again for taking the time out to be on this webinar today. Now, your second speaker, that's myself, Rahul. A little bit about myself. I work for Harbinger Interactive Learning. Primarily, I'm a digital learning enthusiast, and I'm passionate about helping leaders solve business challenges through intervention of digital learning technology. Okay, so before we go further deep in our conversation and topic and ask specific questions to Deepti, let me run you through some numbers, and basically it's Harbinger's experience in modernization practice or Flash to HTML5 conversion. And this primarily, these numbers range from towards the end of 2015. That's where this Flash to HTML5 piece started becoming a prominent need from our customers. And we have been doing a Flash to HTML5 conversion prior to that as well, but since end of 2015, it really became a very prominent need. And over that period of time, we would have encountered legacy content, Flash-based content in 11 different type of legacy tools. That includes custom Flash to older versions of Lectora, Captivate, Articulate. We have completed 31 projects. Total number of courses repurposed 8,640 and counting. And these amounted to 10,502 total number of learning hours repurposed. Okay. Right. So now it's time for us to run an audience poll. So I'll be bringing up the poll and it should be coming up on your screens anytime now. There are multiple options and please feel free to select, it's a multiple choice answer. So please feel free to select more than one. And if you wish to opt for others, you can please feel free to type it into the chat box if there's something else that comes to your mind. The question is, if you were to take up a Flash to HTML5 conversion initiative, what other features would you like to implement in the new courses? Of course, apart from making it HTML5 compatible. The options that we have is making it available as microlearning nuggets, accessibility, section 508 or VCAG 2.0, mobile compatible, tracking beyond SCORM, and others. So thank you very much for the active participation. 68% people have voted till now. We'll keep it open for another 5 to 7 odd seconds and then we'll share the results. Okay, I guess it's time for us to share the results. So let me end the polling and let me share the results. All right, so we have an undisputed leader here. Mobile compatibility, that's 92% people, audience have voted for mobile compatibility. And the second one is accessibility with 50%, and microlearning and tracking beyond SCORM are a combined third on 25%. So this is an interesting statistic, Deepti. You know, all these features that come into play. So now, Deepti, I think it's time for me to ask you a question. So since we know that Harbinger has been working on these type of projects for quite a period of time and has helped multiple organizations across the globe. So is there a kind of set methodology or a framework which you have been using to help businesses make this transformation seamlessly? And while they make this transformation seamlessly, can some of these issues addressed or needs addressed, I would say, around mobile compatibility, microlearning, and accessibility, and those kind of things?
Well, Rahul, yes, that's true. At Harbinger, we've been helping organizations migrate from Flash in particular. And as the statistics that you have shown, over a period of these last few years and over, in the course of doing so many courses, we've built in certain efficiencies and business intelligence. And we designed a framework around the entire conversion process. And the framework is actually, it's known as the xSMART framework. We call it the xSMART framework. It's a solution accelerator, and it's designed for teams to successfully implement and execute the Flash to HTML conversion. And this is an enabler to handle large-scale conversion projects in a cost-effective and rapid manner, because legacy courses get built across a period of time and on various platforms. So I would just like to in brief explain what xSMART stands for. So the X is for automation. So there are quite a number of places where in this conversion process, automation plays a very big role, and we'll discuss that in detail. The S stands for searchable, and M stands for micro. So our instruction designers are able to identify specific portions from a big course which can be pulled out as a standalone microlearning nugget. And they are also able to specify the metadata tags for each nugget. And this allows the microlearning nugget to be searchable, and easily it can be pulled out and served to the learner. The A stands for accessibility. Section 508 features which support the hearing and visually impaired learners. Those can be implemented at a template level. The R stands for responsive. So we've got a plethora of HTML5 templates which are responsive in nature, and the courses can play seamlessly on a wide range of devices like desktops, laptops, iPads, tablets, smartphones. And again, this entire design is at a template level, and the course becomes responsive for the different type of orientations. The T stands for trackable beyond SCORM. So if you would like to add the XAPI features, that's a possibility. So in short, in a very brief, way, that's the detail about the xSMART framework.
Right. Thank you, Deepti. This is very interesting. And I think the automation piece, as you mentioned, we'll talk about in detail the role of the automation. That would be very intriguing for everyone to know. So how does this xSMART framework fits into the development methodology? In fact, let me ask you a question before that. Is that, do you follow the standard development method, the ADDIE development methodology for these Flash to HTML5 conversion processes? Or is there something else that you do?
Well, that's an interesting question, and Rahul, thanks for bringing that point up. So we at Harbinger realized that while the standard ADDIE process is quite good for developing courses from scratch, but it's not probably the most suitable one when it comes to converting the Flash courses to HTML. And hence we have a methodology of our own, which we call the 4D development methodology. And the 4Ds here stand for define, design, develop, and deliver.
Right. Understood. So develop and deliver, we do understand, Deepti, that's pretty standard things. Could you briefly tell us about the first two blocks? What does define constitutes of, and what all do we do in design phase?
Yeah, so Rahul, in the entire 4D methodology, the define and design phases are probably the most important, the most critical ones, and the later part of it is kind of easier to execute once the define and design phases are completed very well. So I'll just explain in brief about what these are. The define phase begins as soon as the project scoping begins, and as is clear from the name, it ensures that the the business objectives, the short-term and the long-term objectives, are tied to the outcome of the project. And at this stage, the stakeholders would need to answer a couple of questions as to what they want out of this. So what are the business objectives that we want to achieve at the end of this project? Are we looking for an as-is conversion, or are we going to use this opportunity for enhancements in the courses, instructionally and visually? Is there any preference for any specific tools or maybe a technology? So these are the kind of questions that will need to be answered. And often what happens is all the questions need not be answered, but the important thing is we have the list of questions, and these are linked to the business objectives. So then we can move on and to the design phase. And this clearly is a phase which sets up, designing a solution which would help us meet these business objectives. And in this phase, there are key three focus areas that we look before we can get into a development phase. So what are the changes that will be needed? So we have a tool called change logs, which will communicate the edits which are to be made to the courses. Then, of course, a library of templates has to be developed based on what the courses need. And then there are these standards and processes to be set, the quality checklist which is to be defined for various combinations outcomes. So that's what the design phase is, and it's quite an intense phase wherein there is a lot of interaction with the client, and together the two teams define the objectives and design the solution. And once the design phase is achieved successfully, then it's a time to get into the production wheel. And a part of that is extracting all the assets which are there. And they come in, these courses being the legacy courses, they come in all flavors of, the platforms and technologies. So we have to extract all the reusable assets. And while there is an extraction team which gets busy in the extraction of the content, we have the instruction design team which can start working on the change logs and identifying the changes and giving recommendations to the client. So the client stakeholders can review and sign off the changes which are needed. And simultaneously, there is a template library that is being identified and built. And so once these templates are ready, then the production process takes off. So all the efforts which go in the planning, they will culminate at this stage. And then suddenly you find that the wheel is moving very quickly. So it's a very rapid development. And we have, once the design phase is complete, we have at times developed let's say 10 to 15 to 20 hours of learning each day. And then comes the process of testing and releasing. So there are certain processes, protocols to be followed over there also. So there is a logging of issues which has to be done in predefined tool and format, and then the development team can pick them up for fixing, retesting. So
Right.
yeah, that's what goes into this methodology.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is interesting, the define, design, develop, deliver methodology. Now, you spoke about the change log. So can you show us an example of the change log? What exactly does it look like? We understand it's for communicating edits, but what kind of edits? Can you just show us an example?
Sure. So what you can see on the screen is an example, a format of a change log. So instead of a conventional storyboard, we create a change log wherein the instruction design team would share all the changes which are implemented. And these are, as you can see, these are, for each screen, the changes would be identified. And it makes it easier for the reviewer at the customer end to quickly review and confirm the changes. And it also enables the use of automation. These change logs are standard, and these are kind of an input to the automation to generate the courses. And the templates are designed in such a way that we've got built-in checks and measures to avoid any manual errors in these change logs.
Right, this is interesting. And I can see on this screen that, it kind of captures that, okay, the old screen versus the new screen, what's the migration happening, what kind of template are we using, and if there is alt text and even the micro-learning tag. So this looks a pretty comprehensive and interesting tool. And the good news is that it makes the process faster between the teams and the review. So I think that's a value add and added advantage of this change log. So
Exactly,
thank
yes.
you. Thanks, Deepti, for sharing that. And templates. So this template library, is it hard-coded? For example, you have predefined templates and you would create those templates for every project, or is it more of customized based on the needs of a particular customer?
talking about templates, so we do have a library, but as I said that we analyze the courses in the design phase, and we kind of identify what are the templates that would be needed for this range of courses. So some of them would be pretty straightforward, where we can just implement those templates. But at the same time, there would be definitely some interactions or some formats which might not fit in here. And then that's the point where we design the custom templates for those particular kind of interactions. But more often than not, I have seen that, designing, let's say, 15 to 20 templates covers the entire range of courses.
Right, great. And these are some of the reference templates that you have, for example,
Yeah.
single select drop down, or accordion tabs, and simple text and image screens. Interesting. Thank you, Deepti, for sharing this list. All right, so moving ahead in our conversation, Deepti, I think it's time for us to take the second audience poll. Let's check the pulse of the audience. And let me bring up that poll on our computer screens. Just give me 1 second. It should be coming up on our screens now. Okay. And again, this is a multiple choice. So you can select multiple responses. I'm launching the poll now. Yeah, and it should be on our screens now. So it says, what are some of the challenges that you have faced or you foresee while going for a Flash to HTML5 conversion initiative? So anyone who has already gone through this transformation of Flash to HTML, we would like to know their thoughts in terms of what was the challenge that they faced, and anyone who's contemplating what kind of challenges do they foresee. The options are not enough bandwidth available with internal teams because they might be busy creating the new stuff, the new courses and meeting the new requirements of the business. Source files not available for the legacy courses. Your courses have gone through a series of, if you're an e-learning catalog company, it might have gone through a series of acquisitions or have been passed on through multiple teams, or as simple as it was getting migrated from SumTotal to Cornerstone on demand, and someone forgot to just, take care of the source files. Or how to use this conversion initiative to future-proof the content, or none. So we have the responses here. We have 64% people have voted, so we'll just end the polling now. And I'll share the results, and let's see if we have a clear winner here or not. Right, so Deepti, as you can see, it's 91% of our audience have either faced this challenge or foresee this as a challenge. Source files not available for the legacy courses.
And Rahul, this so much echoes our experience over these years. I can totally relate to this.
Yeah, that's correct. And then, future-proofing and enough bandwidth within internal teams are distant seconds at 27 and 18%, second and third position respectively. The good news is there is 18% of the audience today who have neither faced a particular challenge nor do they foresee. So that's great news. So thank you very much for participating in this poll. I'll stop sharing the results here. All right, so in fact, so let's pick up on the source files thing of the legacy courses, Deepti, and let me ask you one question here. Is how do we handle this situation of source files not available? Do you have a solution for this? You did mention that automation plays a role. So if you could just go a little bit deep in that, and what kind of role automation plays. What is it? Is it 100% that it can extract content, or is there any limitations of automation? So we'd just like to know your thoughts there.
Yeah, that's an interesting one again, because we get inputs. These are all legacy courses, so dated inputs, dated technology, maybe dated tools. So we have, we create automation-based custom extraction utilities. And usually what happens is these utilities, when we run on the courses, this automation, when we apply on the courses, so to a large extent, we are able to extract the reusable content, like the text portion of it, the images, the audio files, the video files. So to a large extent, we are able to extract the content through these utilities.
Right, great. So there's custom automation extraction utilities. This is not something available off the shelf. And what I understand from you is, depending upon the nature of the legacy courses, after
Yes.
analyzing it, you might have a base framework for an automation utility, but it has to be tweaked depending upon the nature of the courses.
Exactly. Yes. Because every set of inputs that we get is different. So while we have the utilities, they have to be tweaked based on the requirement. And what we have experienced is, most of the times, say 85-90% of the times, the automation utilities are able to extract content. And but at the same time, there would be some cases where we cannot extract the content using automation. So we have a set of processes and through which we can extract the content manually. So it's usually a combination, but a large extent automation addresses, and that little portion which cannot be extracted using automation, the manual process kicks in.
Right, and I remember having a conversation with you when we were working with one of our customers. I think it was some proprietary authoring tool, and probably the customer even didn't knew the name of the authoring tool as well. It was in real sense legacy, and in that particular initiative, I think we faced a little bit of challenges wherein we were not able to extract the content 100% through the automation utility. So it's good to know that there could be possible exceptions here. It's not that this is 100% automation proof, but 85 to 90% takes care of a good chunk. And if we have an alternative way to handle the other 10 to 15%, that's good news for all of us, I think. And so Deepti, is there any other place apart from content extraction? Is there any other place where automation plays a role?
Oh yes, a lot of places. In fact, personally, I would like to call that xSMART framework as an extreme automation framework. And we keep on looking for opportunities where, we can put in more automation, because it helps us, it makes it more cost effective and rapid solution. So one example, very simple example, is when we extract the content and the course has to be generated using automation. So it has to be in a modular folder structure, and naming conventions have to be very standardized so that the code is able to pick up those files, those assets from the folder. So we have, automation for that. Then in the design phase, we create the templates, and we have, we've seen the change log. So that change log is actually an input to the automation utility, and it is used to populate the content into the relevant templates. So yes, lot of places where automation plays a very crucial role.
Interesting, and thank you very much for walking us through in detail the role that automation can play. This is very helpful. Now let me come back to a question, and probably without putting you in a spot, let me ask you a tough question. So xSMART, the features that you mentioned, the automation capabilities, robust, scalable framework, it's great, it's wonderful. But what if as a customer, I do not want all those features? So, probably at times I just need a simple as-is conversion. So is the xSMART framework and this entire development methodology flexible enough to give me options?
Yeah, Rahul. So it's a very flexible solution, and it is entirely, we are able to custom it as per the requirements from the client. And as you said rightly, that not everybody would need the same kind of solution. And but the framework is designed in such a way that it caters to uh, the entire, range of requirements. So at one end it could be the as is conversion, where the client doesn't need any changes. It's just that some technology is dated, and I just want all those, every feature of the original course into the new course, and it has to run on the modern day browsers and devices and all those things. So in such cases, what we do is we extract the content, and we analyze the courses, and we just build those templates which are needed for these converting these courses, and we populate the content in the newly created courses. So no change as such, just the old content, the original content gets populated into the newly created templates, and then test it and deliver it. And the other end of it, the spectrum, is a complete design overhaul solution. The common part of it would be the content extraction and the template creation. But in addition to that, it's, you can redesign the layout of the content on each screen. You can redefine what kind of interactivity you want. If there is any better way in terms of instruction design, all these years instruction design has also evolved. So is there a more engaging way to present a concept or a teach screen? So all that can be done in the design overhaul solution.
Right. So, right, that's helpful to know. So as is conversion, design overhaul, and I'm sure there's a middle path as well. So if a customer wants, you know, the best things from both the sides of the story, they can go for a middle path. So if you now let me request you to, could you show us a few samples? One from as is conversion and the other one from total design overhaul.
Sure, yes. We definitely need to look into a couple of those now that we have talked about it. So how does it feel? Let's do that.
Right, so probably you'll have to flip through your screen. So for the audience, you might see a blank screen for a moment while we pull up the courses. Just bear with us for a moment. And the first example, Deepthi, we are looking at as is conversion.
Yes. So it was as we said that there is a course, and the graphics, the audio, etc., is all very all very relevant, and it's just that we need the course in a different kind of look and feel. So we design the templates, and we put the old content into the new template, and that gives the course a very modern and fresh look. So you can see that there are elements which you would be able to make out that these are not very modern, but since the content had to be the same and the design overall had to be the same, therefore keeping that in mind, we designed these templates, and we populated the old content into these templates.
Right. So, it gives us an idea that just by changing and positioning the content in new templates, the entire look and feel has changed. And there's no instructional design enhancement that you have done in this. You've just positioned the content in the templates.
Exactly, exactly. So this, if it's something which is needed very fast, or a set of courses which have to be released in the market very fast without making any changes in terms of instruction design. So that's where this kind of conversion kicks in.
Right. Now show us an example of a total design overhaul where you have taken something which was like, real sense legacy course, all flash and clunky, and then you have given it a, total overhaul.
Yeah. So this one, which has been put up, is an example of a complete overhaul, and these were custom flash courses, and we designed a new look and feel. We added the accessibility, and if you look at the player elements, the navigation, the menu part of it, so everything, the icons which have been designed in a new way, uh, kind of make the contemporary learners relate to the course. And in another interesting fact over here, specifically with this course, is that the client needed that majority of the learners are accessing the course on mobile devices. So these templates which we have developed here were designed keeping in mind the
As an electrician, you will be required to select.
So this is something which it shows what a lot of things can be done with a legacy course, in spite of the content, the videos, etc. are all old, the photographs and whatever you see, the assets are all old, but still put in the new framework, contemporary framework, this course has become very interesting.
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you that piece is the video looks like has been taken out from the existing course, because these are real videos.
Yeah.
Even videos that have been
Specifically,
shot.
we'll look at how conductors can be constructed.
And if we had to record these videos again, it will be a very costly affair. And these white spaces, is this the way these courses should look like when we are looking at a laptop?
So as I said, the objective of these set of courses were for accessing, playing on the mobile devices. And
In this topic, we're going to see how conductors can be
we focused on the orientation and the space area available on the mobile devices. And therefore you see it here like this.
All right. So, okay. So mobile first strategy, right?
Yes.
So the courses were designed keeping in mind that the major portion of consumption would happen on mobile devices. That's interesting. Thank you very much for walking us through those examples, as is conversion, design overhaul. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question for you. And we looked at the work samples, and yeah, this question is about future proofing. So can you just help us a little bit understand that, can I use as an organization, if I'm going to invest time, money, effort into this conversion process. So one is that, okay, these flash courses would not open up on screen. So I need to, make them open up. But can I use this opportunity to future-proof the content? And if yes, then what options do we have in front of us?
So yes, Rahul, makes a lot of sense. As you said, that since I as an organization am investing so much in conversion of these courses, so that actually is an opportunity to make them future-proof. And that is what we have achieved through this xSMART framework and the 4D methodology. So the framework, for example, is an HTML5 XML based framework. And so the backend is XML. and all the content is stored in XML files. So, it's very easy to update the content and maintain the courses. And in fact, we have quite a lot of clients who have been, for whom we converted the courses, and they are able to make simple textual or maybe let's say an image replacement or those kind of things at their own. They don't have to come back to us. And very relevant in terms of, just a very, very simple example, the changing of copyright, the phrase Copyright Act 2017 to 2020. So for that, you need not go anywhere or even, come to us for that matter. And so the second thing is that the XML based data, it can be repurposed, it can be made compatible to the LCMS. So that's another thing. And the third thing, for example, is that maybe today the courses are being launched from an LMS, and tomorrow the client also wants to launch these courses from the microlearning application. So these, the framework doesn't need to be changed. The courses can be launched from there as well. And so we have taken care of during the conversion process. We have created the micro learning nuggets. We have made them searchable. So future proofing is, kind of integrated in the design of this framework.
So thank you, Deepti. These are really interesting options. So flexible backend, which allows the customers to update and maintain the courses at their own end, and I think that's a key issue. The goodwill XML, it's always been there for ages. Let me ask you a question there. Is XML the only option, or are there other possibilities with the backend?
There are. XML is not the only option here. And we can use other backend options also, like we have done JSONs for quite a few projects which we have handled.
All right. Okay.
Technology is not a restriction here.
Okay. Good to know. Nice. And when you said capability to repurpose, so help us understand this. So when you say that, you create this content, so you do the conversion in the HTML5 XML format, or, with an XML backend or a JSON backend, or any other backend. And these courses are made available on the learning management system. Now, what if an organization has invested in a learning content management system, and they want to make sure that these courses can be made available on the, or can be migrated to their learning content management system? Because some of these learning content management systems, I've learned, once you get the data into them, they have the capability to produce different type of learning modalities. For example, PowerPoints and PDFs can be created through these learning content management systems. So are you saying that this HTML5 XML based courses can be repurposed and migrated to a learning content management system, and there it can be used for all these multiple options?
Exactly, Rahul, because the backend is very flexible. Therefore, you have the freedom of picking and choosing content, and all the content is tagged. So it can be repurposed and served as in a different avatar altogether.
Right. Okay, thank you. And now let me come back to the third point, is the new learning modalities, the micro-learning. One thing is that you said that, at the time of the conversion process, if we are going with a total design overhaul option, I guess, that is where we can, create these micro-learning nuggets and have metadata tagging, which can make the content searchable. In simple words, metadata tagging in terms of adding keywords to a particular micro-learning nugget. So once that is done, and then that micro-learning content could be pushed through any custom mobile application. Is that what you're saying? Is that the flexibility?
Yes, exactly. So the searching part of it. The content becomes searchable when we add the data tags. And once we have the tags, then it's a quick thing that you just pick up those tags and pick up the relevant page and serve it on any microlearning app.
Right, that's interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think future proofing is a key concern with organizations, CLOs. And I think this Flash to HTML5 conversion, of course, you have the options. You can go with an as-is conversion. But if you want to future proof it, you might want to consider a little beyond as-is, but it totally depends upon business to business needs. So good to know that we have all these options. So thank you, Deepti. And now let's move ahead. And now is the time for us to hear from one of our customers for whom we had executed a project. So I'll share a video testimonial from the customer. So just give me a moment. You'll again experience a blank screen for a few moments while I pull up the video. This is an organization called Solutions Training Advisory Limited, a UK-based customer of ours. So I'm bringing up the video now, and let me play this.
Hello, my name is Paul Meek. I'm the founding director of a UK-based training company called Solutions Training and Advisory Limited. We've had a strategic relationship with Harbinger now for many years, who produced a number of online courses for the emergency medical services. These were all produced in Flash. Now obviously Flash is no longer going to be supported as from the end of this year, so we've all been busy converting them to HTML5. It's been an interesting project, and our focus has always been looking at how easy the interface is for the learner to use, because clearly now we're looking at people completing the learning by using tablets and smartphones. Our team and those at Harbinger have worked tirelessly to make the learning experience as good as it can be for our students, and we're delighted about the inputs that we've had from them and also from our end. We've also learned that we need to smarten up our quality assurance from our end and be very much more focused on the learner experience. But 10 out of 10 for them for their input. We're delighted with the outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. And everyone at Harbinger is also delighted. So, Deepti, you noticed how much emphasis was there on creating a learner experience?
Yes, exactly. That's true. Because end of the day, that is what matters.
Right. Okay, so now let's move ahead. And I think this is the last question that I have for you, Deepti. And thank you very much. You have been answering the questions in great detail. So how do we make this rapid and cost effective? We spoke about the xSMART framework, the 4D development methodology. You can help us do multiple things to future-proof our content. But then there's always the question about time and money. So do you have any thoughts on that for us?
Yeah, very crucial two aspects, as you said. And also, in terms of when I am an organization and I want to, I have a set of legacy courses which I want to convert, but my business is still going on and I have got very less bandwidth for involving myself in this conversion. So doing the things rapidly in a cost-effective way with my minimal, involvement. So there are 2-3 things which are very crucial over here. One is a lot of it is achieved by automation. Again and again, you would find me emphasizing a lot on automation, but yes, that's, a strong factor in here. So automation, then template-driven processes. So we know exactly what is going to happen and what to expect. And therefore, we are able to achieve the conversions quite rapidly. And it also cuts down on a lot of manual efforts. And hence, the costs are kept in control. And in terms of keeping the team involvement from the client side, a very minimum, minimum required. So we have got processes, we have got our templates, etc. The modes of communication, the protocols are part of this 4D development methodology. For example, we have this change log wherein we communicate to the client that these are the kind of changes would be there, and it is kind of done asynchronously. The clients typically reviews them and approves those changes. And the other thing which we have is PM reviewer processes. So often we put that into place, that it's kind of an internal team member who acts as the client representative, business representative, and then kind of coordinates with the team and make sure that the client's business objectives are met in whatever we do. So yeah, these are the kind of factors that we use for making the solution rapid and cost effective. Rahul, I think you are on mute.
Right. So we understand the automation and the template driven process. And so this PM reviewer process that you mentioned about that keeps the client's involvement at a minimal level. So you're saying that, if the customer does not want to appoint a project manager to review these courses, the modernized courses, the new HTML5 courses at their end, we could have team members at our end who would be temporarily representing customers in the organization, and then they would be reviewing and then collaborating with at the customer's end. Is that what we are saying?
Correct, yeah. So what happens in this process is the PM reviewer is very, very closely linked to the client and understands their requirement very well. And since the reviewer is part of the organization, so he or she knows the team and the methodologies also very well. And in that way, the person is at an advantage to be able to ensure that the business objectives of the client are met. So it's one part of it would be the review of the courses which are which the development team churns out, and the other part of it is validating that everything has been done. So once things are done, then the client involvement, the client is contacted that yes, these are done, and now you can review, or all these requirements have been met. So it saves a lot of bandwidth from the client's perspective.
Right, wonderful. Thank you, Deepti, for sharing this information. So fair enough. I think we've just overrun our time for the conversation between us by a few minutes, but we still have 7 minutes for the discussion and the Q&A. So we'll open up for discussion, and thank you once again, Deepti, for sharing these wonderful insights. And now we open up for discussion, and we would request the audience to feel free to type in your questions, thoughts, comments, agreements, disagreements, either in the chat box, or you can go in the Q&A box and answer. Type in your thoughts. Deepti and I would take turns, and we will answer your questions. And thank you once again for Deepti for your wonderful insights.
Thanks, Rahul. It was my pleasure to be here, and quite an interesting discussion. Thanks.
Okay, so we have the first question. I'll read out the question. After conversion, what format are the source files in? In fact, this question has multiple parts, so we'll take it one by one. So the first part, after conversion, what format are the source files available in?
So it's the framework is HTML, XML based framework. And typically what happens is the deliverable is an HTML package which can be deployed, and the source content is as is. Like if I'm talking about images, if I'm talking about the video, so those are they all become part of the HTML package, and the text content is obviously in HTML pages. So it's the source files which have been extracted from the original courses will reside in certain folders. There is a predefined structure and which would be there, and then there are these XMLs which will pick up those files when the course is being disbursed.
Right. And so we spoke about HTML5 XML, so the custom HTML5 XML framework that we use. Do we have the flexibility to use multiple authoring tools to, for example, can we take Articulate 360 or let's say the latest version of Captivate in the conversion process?
Yes, yeah, it's absolutely possible to use these tools. As I said, the framework and the methodology itself is kind of technology agnostic. So it's absolutely possible to use these tools.
Right. And now the next part of the same question is, can you create source files to be opened in specific authoring tools?
It is possible to do that now.
Okay, right. We have a next question, and probably I'll take this, Deepti. For a straight one-to-one conversion, how long does it typically take to convert 1 hour of Flash content to HTML5? So I'll answer this in two parts. So you remember Deepti was talking about the design phase. So let's give the design phase 3 weeks for an as-is conversion process, wherein they set the standards, they put the templates and everything. 3 to 4 weeks, you comfortable with that, Deepti, for an as-is conversion design phase?
Broadly speaking, yes. Actually, a lot depends on the extraction part of it. That's a very crucial element here.
Right. So let's assume the best possible scenario. So 3 to 4 weeks, we give it to the design phase, and the extraction is happening 80–85%. And then when it comes to the development process, I think the answer is that you will get multiple outputs of 1 hour each in a particular day. That's how efficient the process is.
Exactly, yes. In fact, a major part of the time would go in the quality assurance process. So not exactly the development per se, because it's all automation driven, but the QA part of it is what contributes to that whatever time it takes.
Right, thanks. And the next one, I think this is one of the favorite questions, and I think we at Harbinger, we spend a lot of time addressing this, and we can take turns and we can answer this. Can we open or edit the source files once you hand them over to the customer? So can the customers open and edit the source files once you hand it over to them?
So yes, so that's part of the deliveries that come to that go to the clients from our end. We give a detailed documentation. We have the list of templates and the description of those templates, and also what you need to do for maintaining these courses. So if there is a small change that you need to make, so we have that process is clearly laid out, and we do a lot of handholding of the clients to enable them to make those small changes at their end.
Right. And yes, in terms of, we understand the updation and the maintenance of courses is very important. So for not everything you need to go to a supplier to get it done. So we enable your teams, and if you are willing to get that done, we enable your teams with the right set of documentation, when training over web meetings, so that in future they can maintain and update the courses at their end. And another aspect that I would associate with this is when you say that the maintenance update of the courses is localization or translation of the courses. We have experienced that a lot of these courses that get developed in HTML5 is for a global organization, and they have global audience, multiple languages. So the way we structure this content, these courses at the back end, is if and when there is a need for localization and translation, the localization and translation process can also be made more efficient. So whatever we are investing in this phase of conversion, we can reap some of those benefits during the translation phase as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm happy that you brought out that point, Rahul. And wherever it actually starts in the design phase itself, when there is a need, when we know that there is a need for translation or localization, and let's say the same course needs to be accessed in different languages. So we have in our framework, we have done that for a couple of cases where we have the language selection itself part of the framework, wherein the learner can select the language, and that particular the course appears in that particular language to that particular user. So yes, we have done that.
Right. Thank you. So thank you, audience, for your questions. We are on the top of the hour, so we'll be available for the next 2-3 minutes. If you have any other questions, thoughts, comments, please feel free to. Thank you, audience. We are on the top of the hour now. And if you have any questions for us, if you have any thoughts, if you want to have a discussion, a one-on-one conversation with our experts, please do drop us a line at info@harbingerlearning.com. We'll put this email ID in the chat box as well, so that you have it. And of course, you'll get a recording of this webinar once this is done, so you'll have that handy. We will be happy to have a conversation with you, answer any specific questions that you might have, any specific challenges that your business is facing, and we'll be happy to give you a consultation in terms of what kind of solution could be a best fit for your organization. So thank you very much for actively participating in this webinar from Deepthi and all the other team members at Harbinger. We wish you a good day ahead, a good evening ahead, and stay safe. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks everybody. It was great talking, and it's a good interaction. Thank you.